to do once you receive it, you want to calibrate your device. And the reason we calibrate our viable units is because it's kind of like your scale that you have in your house. That, you know, before you go and stand on a scale, we need to press on it 0 at first to make sure that it's picking up the right information. And then once we're standing on it, then we know that we can trust the value that's given us. So the same thing goes with the viable. This is a research instrument. And before we go to use the device, we want to always 0 at first, and we call it to create a baseline or to calibrate the units. And after we do the calibration, then it's ready for operation. So the way we do the calibration is that first, this is going to be this is a finger piece that's already inserted in your device. So once you get it, you can place your thumb inside like this, and you can grab the top and hold the viable really firm with your other hand and just pull this out. Now, at first, this is going to be a little bit harder because the connections are brand new, so it's like holding the unit in there really tight. But after you do it a few times, then it just becomes very easy to take this out. So once you take the finger section out, there is a white cloth that comes with your viable. Make sure you grab that, and we always want to, before any measurements or before calibration, we want to wipe the inside of the viable system clean to make sure there's no dirt or dust or anything that's in there. And then I'll grab my calibration units, which looks like this. And this is the piece that has the middle cylinder at the center of it. Now, the way we place the calibration unit inside of the viable is going to be just like this. So you see that how this is pointing downwards, the middle cylinder. See, it's pointing downwards. And then we're just going to align the two corners and just press it in. So I'm going to align it like that. And then you just tap and it goes in just like that. And this is how the calibration unit is installed in here. Now there's a wire that comes with your calibration that has an end that's like this. And they're both ends look like that. So this one goes right on the top here, and the other end of it will connect to the back over here, like that. So once you have these two wires here and here that's connected, now we will connect the viable to our computer, which has a USB cable that comes with it. And the USB gets connected right back here. So you come back here and you plug that in, and your system is nice and connected. You have somebody else joining us. Let me put them in real quick. So once the system is connected, then you come to your viable screen. You go to the calibration tab, which I'm going to share my screen with you now, so we can take a look at that. So this is the calibration right over here. You're going to go to your calibration. And if this start button here is green, that means that your system is ready to get calibrated. But a lot of times we have, see, there is a green light right in front of the camera here. That this green light, that means the connection is successful. But if you see an amber light or a yellow light that shows up here, that means that your device is not communicating with the software at the moment. And this sign here, this start button here, will be grayed out, so you can't even like click on it. So those situations is when either there is some sort of a driver issue with your USB drive that's been connected to the camera. So your computer has to be up to date, especially all the drivers for your USB, because the viable draws a lot of power, and the older USB drives, they won't connect with it and they can't supply enough power to it. So you have to make sure that the drivers on your PC or on your Mac, they are updated to the latest version. And if there's any issues there, you can contact me and I will walk you through it. We have different ways of accessing the information for the drivers so you can get your system connected. Now, once your system is connected, it's very important once we're doing the calibration to not have anything that creates any kind of electromagnetic field, to have it around the viable. So for example, if I have my cell phone around, I'm going to take that and put it somewhere else so that it doesn't interfere with the calibration. And I'm just doing a test right now, so that's fine. So once you do click on the start, and here, wrong position of the titanium cylinder. So you may sometimes get that. And that's just telling us that there's something going on with the titanium cylinder. And because I don't have the wire connected here, you see that error message came up. So in order for me to do a successful calibration, I have to find my calibration wire, which is right here. This is what it looks like. So it's this wire that's got both ends that look the same exact way. This is called a banana wire. So now I will connect this one to here. I'll connect this to the back of the unit here. And now I should be able to calibrate the system. So now I can close this out. And it's giving me a connection issue now. It's saying that it's not connecting. So now if that happens, I try to play around with this wire. I try to take it out. And then I plug it back in just to see if the camera will re-register itself. And sometimes that becomes an issue. And what I do next is I change my my wireless connection to a different connection, because sometimes once we're trying to set this up, it's trying to make a communication with the servers that we have. And our servers are, well, let's see, it just came back up right now. So sometimes it takes a little bit for the communication to take place, but sometimes the ISP, the internet service provider, because we connect to a Russian server, they block that communication. So if you don't see it happening and resolving at this point, you have to go to your server, and usually there's an app for your server that you can give permission to different connections. And it will show you what connection is being blocked, and you can just give it permission. And from there on, you won't have to worry about it. So those are some situations that may happen. But in my case, we see that just I let it alone by itself, and the communication became connected. So now I come and click on start. Voila. So when it says calibration completes, this is where we know, okay, we're ready to start using our viable device. And we can click at it here, okay. And then it will bring us back to our different window to do our scans. So that's how we do our calibration. Any questions up to this point? You can raise your hand if you have any questions, so I can make sure I can answer it for you. Okay, great. So moving on, I'm going to talk about the software itself now, of how to understand what is residing where and how to make sense of different types of measurements that we're doing here. So the database is where all of the cards and the scans reside. So the cards are the profiles that you're creating for your clients. So once you create a card, then from there on, once you come to different, and let me get to it. I want to show you guys my calibration screen here. So once we are looking in here, all of the scans that we do under a person, it will show up in the scan section over here. So I can go to, for example, this research, and everything I've done for that research will show up here. So if your clients come to you years from now, all this information gets backed up to a server, and it's private, it's only your information, and you'll be able to have access to it, even if your hard drive crashes or something happens to your system that you won't be able to operate your computer at the time. So you can just log into a different computer, download the software, and have access to all of the database that you've collected throughout the years. So that's very powerful of itself. Coming down to the recent, this is going to show all of the recent scans that we do. They get accumulated here. Now in the database, once the database grows, you see that the pages here become like, many pages, and that way it becomes kind of hard to find the scan. That's why we go to the recent. So as soon as you scan somebody, you can go to recent and you can see their scan. Now in the database view here, again, the add is how we add a new person. So we can put in their first name, last name, select their sex and date of birth. This is very important to do accurate date of birth, because our software, once we go to analyze the data, it takes the information collected and it compares it to people of that sex and age around the world. So this way, we're able to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges instead of just comparing one person to everybody else, which doesn't give us that much information. So make sure that you put the right information here. I usually try to get my customer's email and I put it in here just so that I have it if I want to send their information to them or whatnot, that I can have that information there. So, and once you hit OK, this information gets saved here. If you make a mistake, you want to do something to fix it, you can come in here, click on edit, and you can go back to it and make your changes and resubmit to save the information. If you want to delete something, you will click here. This one is so we can create different labels. So let's say if you're doing experiments on, let's say, energy of water, and we want all of the energies of waters that you're doing to have a certain color, so that you can quickly just come in here and you can select those colors. And once you do that, it will bring all those researchers that are connected to that reading over in this section over here. So, like you can see, this is like one of the actually this one just made it into. So from here, you're able to assign labels, and then from here is actually when you go and you can select them to show all the scans that you have created for that label. So in here, I'll give it a certain color. I can edit labels and I can give them, let's say, a different color, or you can add a different color in there for something other experiments. And that way we just keep all the information that we have in the system, we keep it organized. So if you're doing research, or if you want to write a research paper and you want to have access to all the information that you've collected for that person, then we can you can just accumulate it in one space. Just make sure you click out of it, otherwise you won't find any of your scans. So you make sure that you click on all, and that way everything else comes back. So the compare is a very powerful feature that we have in the BioWall screen. And this is to compare, for example, before and after, or comparing the influence of something before they consume something, or before they hold something in their hands. We can get a baseline, and then we can have them change their environments, to have them like hold something, or have them do some sort of a remedy or modality on them to see how their energy changes. And then we come and rescan the person's energy, and then this way we can compare and then see exactly before after what was improved in the system. And a lot of people use this to come up with their modalities, to see how they can improve their modalities and to make it more effective when they're working on energetic bodies. So just to do an example here, we can get some of my recents here. For example, this would be like before. I can do a compare here. Well, see, right now I have 3 in my compare view, so I got to clean that out first. I can come in here, clear my compares, and then I can come and, for example, compare this to the next scan. And this way it just puts it side by side next to each other, and then we can see exactly like what's happening by going through the different tabs. Here we'll come and just like put them on top of each other, the both scans, so we can really see what's happening. Here will show us like the before after of the fluctuation of the chakras. This was before, this was after. So you can see how, or what you're doing, how it's influencing the system. And what's beautiful is that you can just hold something in your hand and rescan yourself, and that becomes a part of your energy. So then it will show it over here. Going back to the database. So the energy field, this is the part when we do the scan of the 10 fingers with the system, it would generate this hue of energy around the body. So by examining this, just visually looking at it, we want to look at areas that are shooting out or areas that are disconnecting. And by that, we can make a lot of sense out of the system. In the chakra tab, we'll show the alignment of the energy centers. And here it will give us information of whether the misbalance in a person is emotional, or it's a physical, has a physical initiation point, so that we can understand how to set up our remedies or modalities for that person to be more customized to their needs. And it will generate a sound file here. that by listening to the sound file, we can introduce a lot of frequencies or um, vibrations that are missing in their system. In the yin yang view, we look at the yin and yang organs and the amount of energy that's flowing through the system. So this becomes really powerful for acupuncture and using this information to really understand if there's too much energy in the system, we can reduce it by working with these meridians and these acupuncture points. And it's very, very powerful here. And if you go click on different windows, it will show you all the different meridian points and how to work with them. And at the bottom here, we have the indications for the colors because everything is color coded in the system to make it easy. And like this pinkish color is very low in energy. The energy is depleted. The low is when the energy is just starting to deplete. And normal is the green color. And when we get to increase, that means that the system is in function right now. And the high is there's too much energy that's passing through that system. When we look at the analysis now here, it gives us more information about the emotional state of a person. And our stress here is calculated based on the physical, emotional, environmental stresses that can be influencing the person. And now I'm going through a person that's like this is a model of a perfect person. So that's how it would usually look. But if we go to somebody else that's not as healthy, you can see how these variations will change. And it will tell us if somebody's under a lot of anxiety in their system, how much energy they're fluctuating or they're operating with. And it shows us even the percentage of the communication between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, which gives us a lot of information. So we can find out if the right side of a person of the brain is more activated, so that person will become more logical. And if the right side is activated, that person becomes more emotional. So that gives us more information of how to work with that person. Now, looking at the area diagram, this is where it's giving us information of how much energy is flowing through the system. And we can see at the areas that it drops, then we need to pay attention. This is the optimal view. So we want to be around this point in here. If you're going below that, you need to start watching out. And if you're going out too far into these areas, then that's a sign of overactivity. So we want to make sure we pay attention to those. Now, the energy diagram is our potential energy, is a reserve energy in the system that we can kind of see how much reserve energy does a person have to help us decide more of the modalities for that person. The balance view here, we're talking more about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic view of the system. So anything that gets highlighted in here, that's an indication of a difference of more than 20% between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic balance in that organ. So for example, here we look at number 3, it's pancreas, and we see that it's out of homeostasis, and that's why it's being highlighted. So by looking at these and by looking at the color that's behind them, we can understand what systems are in need of the most attention at the moment. And for example, in this case, we see number 21, which is the hypothalamus, and it's extremely told in the system. We have the organs disbalance, the organs energy here that we actually take a look at the different organs in the system and how much energy is functioning, is being produced within them. And this is the only window we have that actually talks about the physical body, that actually is talking about the actual organs, and we can get more information about the energy that passes through them by looking at the numbers to the right of them. So you can open these guys up and it will give you a lot of information about what system in that organ or what organ in that system is extremely low in energy. So we know we can find the weakest link and try to give them energy in order to bring the entire system back into homeostasis. Moving on to the biorhythm, which is our last window here. And the biorhythm has nothing to do with our energetic body or the energy wellness. This has to do with our date of birth. And this has to do more with astrology. So everybody goes through different cycles, physical, emotional, and intellectual cycles throughout the month. And this is calculated based on the date of birth that we put into the system. And this stays the same throughout people's lives. So, if you have a client, you can even be predictive with this and show them actually in the future how their energy is going to be fluctuating, so they can make certain decisions. And there's a lot of correlation in this with Oriental cultures that they usually say, they have higher biorhythms. That's when they make decisions. They're more risky, and they are more um, into creating things and then changing things in their lives. But while they're in their low biorhythms, like here, when these are dropped into the bottom of the graph, then in those cases, they stay more reserved, and they're more cautious in their living. And to finish it all, we have the report tab here that once you click on that, it will give you options of selecting exactly which parts of this experiment you want to share with your clients, and it will generate a 22-page report that's you can customize it with your business logo and your business information. That information you can either print it and have it your clients to take with them, which I don't recommend. I like to email it to them so we don't waste too much paper, and that way we are more environment friendly with what we're doing. So just you can click on report, and you can save it as a PDF file, and you can email it to the person so that they can have it on their mobile phone, and they can have it on the computer, so they can always have access to it. That completes my orientation training on the viable system. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer your questions now.
So far, so good, Nima. Maybe I'll have more questions when the device arrives.
I'm sure once you get the device and you start to calibrate it and start to work with it, then is when a lot of questions arrive. And we have a session here every week, and I offer a certification class also with the BioGoal, so that will focus more onto analyzing the data that we're collecting. So here we talk about how exactly to do the measurements and how to work with the system. Then if you're interested in becoming a BioGoal practitioner, then that's when we do the certification class. So after completion of that, you become registered and listed on BioGoal's website. So then a lot of people in your area can find you just by going to biogoal.com. And that's how I really got started with the system, as just by becoming a practitioner and getting listed on biogoal.com. And that just opens up a whole world of opportunity in this device with you.
Okay, good to know.
Of course. Vicky, how about you? Do you have any questions? I know I just went quickly through a lot of things.
Yes, I would like to ask if I take a certificate course, and are the videos replayed? Can we replay the video? Is it recorded?
So we have different options for our certification course. It's a 6-hour course. The first 2 hours is a recorded video that you can just watch it on your time. Now I have for the other 4 hours, we'll do 2 meetings. So it'll be two meetings of 2 hours each, and it will be just like this on Zoom. And the first meeting, I will go over my database that I have collected based on the years of research that I've done with the BioGoal. And I will explain to you exactly how we make sense of the data that we're collecting. And we talk about different health issues and how those health issues will show itself into the energetic body, and how we can actually see some patterns and some shootouts in certain areas to be able to figure out what's happening with this person, or if the issue is very severe, or if it's just at the get-go and starting. So that's what we really pay attention to in the certification class, and it becomes very powerful for you.
And because I think it's a time difference, it's the time. How do we work out the time for the certificate program?
What time is it for you right now?
1:30 a.m.
So what we would do is that I will send you a link to my calendar, and you can pick your time that works for you. So
okay,
you can set it up as early in the morning. That's and it automatically matches our time zone. So I have my available hours that's listed, and then you can pick a time that works for your time zone. And if there is something that's not there, then I can create a special time zone for you, or a special event for you, so we can meet up. So it's not like too early or too late for you.
And also, sorry, go ahead.
So after the training is completed, we've already put an app together now. that I believe both of you guys are in the app. I don't know if you, Vicky, are. I know if you're in the app. I've seen you in there, I believe.
You
Yeah,
mean the
but I
light
haven't
worker?
tried it. Sorry.
Yes. So in that app now, I've created a certification course that's a self course. So all the previous sessions that we do gets recorded and we share it in this course, and it's an interactive course. So you can go on your own time, you can watch the videos, and you can ask questions there, and then we'll come and answer your questions, and that becomes like an interactive way. If you don't have time, or we can't find a time that will make the perfect time zone for us, then that's a different option that you have access to that too. And anybody that does the certification will have access to that course for the life of the course. And that's why we're doing it this way. So because once you become certified, and this is my own experience of going through it, because I've been there, I've gone through the whole shebang that you guys are going through. And I always wanted a system that I could go back to, because once you're in the field and you're practicing, you have a lot of questions that come up. And there needs to be a system that you can go back to in order to answer your questions in a timely manner. Because for me, I would have a question and I would send an email trying to get answered. I would take weeks before I would get my answer. And it was just very hard to want to, do research and understand, what we were picking up and how to make sense of it. So that's why I made this app, so that now we have many Bible practitioners that are already on the app, and we can just collaborate together and make sense of things a lot quicker. And I feel like this will just expedite the process of research and just help the process of ascension for everybody.